Zionism is not Judaism, just like how Sharia law is not Islam. That's a very, very important thing that we need to establish to begin this conversation. Now, I did a video nearly 2 years ago, just after October the 7th happened, which is where Hamas went to the festival in Israel and killed and murdered over 1,000 people. The scenes were obviously horrific, which led to this huge retaliation from Israel. Now, if you go back to that video, it did pretty well on TikTok. You actually notice that although I didn't know everything about it, it was probably my first video I made on political commentary. I was right with a lot of the things that I said in terms of when is this ever going to end. Both sides see Israel, Palestine as their holy land. However, now we need to change the argument and change the focus, because what is happening at this moment in time can only be described as Israeli supremacy, being completely honest. Conflict began years and years ago, not like how Israeli sympathizers will try and stand on YouTube and say, oh, it's all from October the 7th, and trying to do a peace treaty. No, let's admit, this began way before that, and there were issues with aid being blocked to Israel, food, power cuts, sorry, not to Israel, to Palestine, to the Gaza Strip, to the West Bank, which is largely populated by an Islamic community. There was already a lot of wrongdoing done before October the 7th. However, I do understand that an attack had to be done to retaliate, but not to this length, because it's now gone on over 2 years and you've attacked more countries such as Yemen, Syria, Iran, Lebanon. So you can't use that same excuse of, oh, okay, it will all be over when you release the hostages. Well, what about the other countries? Clearly, there's a bigger play in action, and that plan of action is the Greater Israel. Now, the Greater Israel includes different countries. A lot of the countries that I've pretty much just explained also includes Saudi Arabia, and this is because of the ideology, which is Zionism. You don't have to be Jewish to be a Zionist. You can be an African Zionist, you can be a Christian Zionist, because of what it says in the Bible and what it says in the Torah. However, it's the belief that this area, it used to have a different name, beginning with C, I can't remember what it's called. However, this area is given to Abraham, it's given to the Jews. It's an only Jewish state. Now, this is what's leading to Israel attacking these different countries and wanting to claim the Gaza Strip and the West Bank because they believe it is theirs. This is ethnic cleansing. This is what's led to tens of thousands of people dying, most of those being children and women, which is extremely scary. Do all Jews believe in Zionism? Not at all. In my opinion, Zionism is becoming extremely right-wing, and unfortunately in the Israeli government, they have right-wing people there leading this attack, right? Just like how Sharia law, it is a ideology in Islam that looks at people as less. That's why it's much easier to kill and do all sorts of negative, nasty things to people, because you desensitize yourself. You look at them as the enemy. You look at them as less than human. That's how you can allow the negative things that they're doing. And this needs to be stopped. Extremists on both sides needs to be stopped. However, I did skip ahead. It began in 1948, Holocaust has happened, and in my belief, this is due to Christian Zionism. However, the British government actually granted the land of Israel to the Jews. So Jews that had pretty much been displaced from Holocaust all flocked to Israel. And that's when the Israel-Palestine conflict started happening, because Israelis were coming, they were settling and saying, this is our holy land. What are you doing here? And what they did is they pretty much tried to displace the Muslims that were living there. Now, where this gets scary is they are backed by America, APAC, and they just get millions and millions and millions, billions of pounds by the greatest superpower in the world. And this is what's allowing them to be completely unchallenged, going in and attacking all these other countries outside of just what's obviously going on, the horrors that's going on in Palestine, without anybody really doing anything. And we need to call this out for what it is. You know, we can actually see what is happening in front of our own eyes. Some people see the news and just hate Muslims, and they just think, okay, I'm on the Israeli sides. We see all the far right protests going on in the UK. And that's not what's going on. We need to call out the atrocities. Israel is moving in a way that is similar to the way they were treated by the Nazis. That's exactly what the Israel government is doing by completely obliterating Gaza, by displacing Palestinians from the West Bank, by attacking Iran and saying preemptive strike. Oh, what's your news? Preemptive strike, preemptive strike, preemptive strike. It's like, well, this preemptive strike has been going on since the 1980s. It's not a preemptive strike. It's you doing what you want, knowing you're backed by the biggest superpower in the world, knowing that no one is going to challenge you. It takes more of us to, become more politically aware and just call out what's right and what's wrong. Like for me, I don't hate the Jews, I don't hate Muslims, love both sides. However, we need to call out dangerous ideologies like I see it as far right Zionism and Sharia law, extremist Sharia law, not all Sharia law, but extremist Sharia law ideology. We've seen what happens in history when these type of movements are not checked. Look at European colonization, look at American history and the displacement of Native Americans. Look at the Holocaust. We've seen what happens when these movements do not get checked, but the beautiful thing now is we've got social media. We can see what's happening on the ground. We're hearing the numbers of how many Palestinians are dying, how many Palestinians are even just dying from simple starvation, famine. It takes all of us to rise up and say something. Don't be stupid and coming out and saying a load of stupidness towards Jewish people, because a lot of Jewish people don't believe in this. Actually, I believe 75% of Jewish people actually want a ceasefire at this moment in time. So Jewish people are not the problem. The problem is far-right Zionism. Just like how the problem is extremist Sharia law, far-right Muslims will go and do a terror attack. Also, just one other thing on terror attacks, it's a shame as well. Let's be very, very honest. A lot of people, when they hear terror attack, the first thing they think is Muslim. What we can see in the UK with the riots at this moment in time. However, from 2010 to 2017, in the US, over 2/3 of terror attacks were committed by far-right groups. 14% were committed by Islamic terrorists. In the UK, it is slightly higher on the Islamic side. It was 44% due to 33% which are white. The numbers are a lot closer than we think in the UK. And in America, it's actually more. We need to get rid of some of these dodgy biases that we have in our head, because a lot of these biases aren't true, or the numbers are a lot closer than we think. And we just need to start calling out right from right and wrong from wrong. I think the beautiful thing about being an agnostic theist like myself is you can call out both sides when both sides are wrong. There's been awful atrocities on both sides, but what we're seeing from the Israel state at this moment in time is absolutely atrocious, and the only way to describe it is a genocide. Another excuse that I've heard as well for why the war can't be stopped is because so many Palestinians or even other Arab countries are going to produce so many soldiers to take over Israel, and the war's never going to be stopped. But guess what? Conflicts can end. Look what happened in Northern Ireland between the Protestants and the Catholics, IRA. That managed to end. Look what happened between East Germany and West Germany. There's countless examples. I'm sure before the Civil Rights Act, black people didn't think they were ever going to be able to get given a chance in America. These things can come to an end. But the problem is Israel has just lost the hearts and minds and sympathy from the world, because we can all see what's going on. But if a solution is found, and guess what? If there's going to be extremists born from this, although they might feel like they have a point because of all the destruction that they've seen, you're going to get backing from the world. You're going to get backing from America. So that is not the issue, but we have to accept this atrocity for what it is.